Hello, everyone. Once more, and thank you all for joining here tonight. If you haven't, have a look at the Miro board for tonight that we prepared, where you can, just do a little check-in activity and tell us where in the SUX cosmos you are located. Are you part of the groups already? Are you new today? Are you here for the first time? So have a look. I shared the link in the chat, and then we will, start with just a few slides. Let me share my screen. So there we are. And, as I said, hello everyone. And it's great to see you all here. And, I think we all know that it also feels, I think for all of us, a little bit somehow maybe something like not right that we are here, like being safe, being able to do things while, war is happening only just a few thousand kilometers away from most of us. And it's would be more than understandable if people did not join tonight because they do not feel to do so. And so again, thank you for being here and for, driving this project, forward. And again, we are happy and thankful that you joined here tonight. And the idea for tonight is that we talk a lot about the ongoing group work. And so, a bunch of the groups will give us a short update about where they are, what they did so far, if they have some key insight already. But no worries, if you are new here, if you're here for the first time, if you haven't joined the community yet, you're still more than welcome. You'll get a nice overview about the group work, and we hope to welcome you in our community later on. And I think before we start, we should maybe do something that's very important and maybe the most important topic for today. You all should give yourself a warm applause. We started this back in November with the first meeting, and so many groups, so many people met in groups, did workshops, working on sustainability, and we all are doing this besides our main work, right? We are not getting paid for this, and that cannot be taken for granted. And I think it gives also a lot of hope to see that so many people are willing to spend their free time, their leisure time, to work on ideas and solutions to drive sustainability, to work on ideas and visions and how we can drive sustainability with our work. So, and let me applause, and please applause yourself, because we all know that it's sometimes hard to find this time besides all these other things that we have to do. And this is really great. And so thank you from us, and that you're here, that we are doing this together. And for all of you who are new today, I think most of you are already in our Slack channel. If you're not, here's the link. Just join our Slack community where we discuss and share interesting resources and new ideas. And feel free, or we would be happy to welcome you there in our Slack channel. And also, if you're interested in the group work approach to us, though we are in a group work phase right now, and the groups already did a lot of work, there will be new group work phases for sure later on where you can join. So this is the agenda for tonight. And mainly we want to have a look at the group work, as I said, and give the groups by themselves the opportunity to give us, the community, a short glance at their work and what they did so far, maybe first key insights. So whatever they want to or whatever they can share already. So today is not the day of final results. Work is still going on. Some groups already did a lot of way. Others are not so far. And so we will see different things today and hear different things, I think. But yeah, we from the orga team are also really looking forward for today and to see where we are at. And after that, we from the orga team want to give you an idea about the next steps, about the concrete pieces of the playbook that we see so far. And yeah, so we'll talk about that later. And in the end, we invite you all to stay for some more time to discuss, for example, especially the people from the group work, to discuss obstacles or difficulties in the workshops. We know the double diamond caused some problems for some of the groups or for some of the SDGs. So we hope to discuss this a little to grab the feedback from you, so we can, or to discuss improvements, or so we can slightly maybe improve the workshop template. So we'll do that in the end. And with this, I would like to come to the most important topic for today, the group insights. And so I sent the groups the order already. We will start with group 1. That is Kevin. And let me stop the share. Great. There you are.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, well,
and now the stage is yours.
Oh, cool. Not for very long, I hope. But
no, all good.
Cool. Thanks, Thorsten. So, firstly, I just wanted to say thank you to the whole SUX team for the work that you've done, to the time and effort that you put into establishing the initiative, and the thought and care that you put into the materials that you've created for the work. It's been a really impressive exercise to see and motivate and activate so many people across borders and time zones. Has been really, really impressive. So with that in mind, I'm sorry I don't have something equally substantial to share today, but I'll be able to talk a little bit about the experience we've had so far, and run through the notes that I've added into the Miro. We have made some progress, and maybe not as much as I would have hoped we would have made by now, but I'm hoping that we can use this check-in to reactivate us and make further progress. We're looking.
Maybe you can quickly say which SDG
you
are working on.
Sorry, so
the SDG 11, right?
Yeah, we're tackling sustainable cities and communities. And I actually so we work in a strategic design company here in Dublin, and I brought some people from our organization together to act as a team. So we actually knew each other beforehand, and we had our own shorthand as well as ways of working. And that was a topic that had come up for us before as a group of people. So I knew it was an area that the team would be interested in. So that's why we selected that. So just to run through the notes in terms of like the key insights from in reaction to the process, and then one key insight I think from the work that we did. We found the materials were really, really good, and it really helped us to align around the topic in the beginning. The touch the topic exercise was particularly inspiring and sort of resonated with the group that we had. And when it came to the third of the workshops, we found that inversion was a really good way for us to approach the ideation. So it helped us to kind of use absurdity to unlock ideas and clarify thoughts within the group, and open up possibilities for how we would approach the different ideas that we had. And in terms of useful insights from the knowledge gathering phase, we found some work by Brian Eno and Dan Hill on creating the design principles for streets that were really, really inspiring in terms of ways that we would think about cities and spaces in different ways that would reorganize our priorities. When we came to aligning on how we move forward in terms of ideation, we sort of locked in on the idea of transport and of reorienting the priorities of cities away from cars and towards people as something that really has to be tackled to make cities more livable and to have a beneficial effect on the environment. The challenges that we encountered, I think the broad scope of the overall aim, of tackling sustainable cities and communities through the design process in kind of one go, made it hard for the team to understand the exercise and the scope and direction that we might be traveling in relation to the Sustainable UX project. And possibly I struggled to articulate what the scope of the idea might be. So that kind of left us a little bit uncertain at certain points in terms of what was our end goal and what were we aiming towards. Which I think, it is set up quite clearly in the materials. It might have just been a question of having done a dry run through the process beforehand would have made me better equipped to lead the process with the team. So even materials as well prepared as the ones that you guys have set up. Working with a new format made it a kind of a challenge to introduce. So there was a mentored option, I know, when you set up the project, and we had kind of bailed in because we know everything and we're experienced designers, and it turned out we probably would have benefited from maybe doing an induction session or working through the process, doing one and then leading one ourselves would have been something that would probably been useful to us. And when it comes to the double diamond, we didn't really fully understand what we were doing with that, so we just bypassed it and kind of adapted at that point. But we were happy enough to do that, and the materials were flexible enough and familiar enough that we thought that was going to work for us. So we have aligned around an area of ideas for ideation. We aligned around an area for ideation. We separately generated ideas as groups, and the next step for us is to regroup, review those ideas, and to finish out the workshop. So we've gotten to the creation phase. So we kind of have 1 and a third workshops left to do to finish things out and come back to you with something more useful.
Great. Thank you very much. And to look forward a little, I think there is we have the same feeling that there is not this one result, and that results from the groups might be different. And so we have different ideas for different results and result formats, because I think there is not the one idea, and I think it's not only about having this 1 or 2 methods as a result, but also the mindset and all the thoughts that you have in your work and while working on this are also super interesting for many other people and super valuable for many other people. But we'll come back to that later. How we hope to grab this information or conserve this information as well. So great. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much. And so we come to the next group 3, which is Simon, and group 3 is working on SDG 5, which is about gender equality.
Thank you very much. First of all, also thank you for the great workshops. We just finished 2 of them, but all in all, I think we had good discussions in it. All in all, my group or our group was I'm the only one right now here. I came to the first session and brought the topic into our company where I made an intern, and we're like a UX consulting agency, and with a lot of designer, and I thought maybe we could come together and discuss about this topic because we are all interested into this, and so everybody was very inspired, and we had cool first session. The first session was really long discussions. That's why we didn't finish all the tasks. And but after New Year and stuff, things got more serious into work, and people were I don't have time anymore and stuff. So it's I'm a bit sad that things went off like this, but still we had as I said, great discussions. Our SDG was the responsible consumption and production topic.
Sorry.
And I think our key insights were that UX can first of all, design process can think from the beginning to an end of products and consumption, we have a big impact on how products are designed, and that's like, that was in the first session. We talked a lot about this and about like brands, because we're consulting brands to be more responsible and more sustainable. And that's why we got into deep discussions about this topic. And the other hand was like, this were the main points, were like, raising consciousness about individual consumption. That's also, I think, important. Like we thought about, maybe UXers don't make it so easy to buy things, but more to make consumers think about what products they're buying. And if they not think about more, maybe you should think for a month, if you still want it a month later, then you can buy it, or build in things like this to be more sustainable. But of course, that's not what companies want to have. And there we got into deep discussions again. Another thing was like, with UX, we can use resources better and more efficient and stuff like this. So there you can also have a big impact from the UX aspect. And one funny thing was also like, one coworker said, I also want to make an impact into the world and make the world a better place, but in the end, as a designer, I just build another tool to make a CEO more rich. So I think we have good companies as partners and as customers, but in the end, like, mainly the initial brief is not responsible or not sustainable. That's why like designers don't come into discussions like how you really want to do this. That was a big pain of the designers. I don't have this much experience about this, but that's what the other said. They don't have this impact when it comes into decision making. And that was the main thing about the first session. There was a double diamond in the second session. We also had our problems. We didn't know like how to translate this into our topic. It was a little bit hard. Also, the more experienced designers, they were like, this method, I know this, and you can do this, and everything. But for me, it was like, what is this, and what is this? So we came into discussion what were good methods to design and stuff. But after all, we were like, did we do it right, or have we do something else, or whatever? It was a little bit confusing.
The good thing is now you know the double diamond.
No, I know, I know now. Yeah. And so I think we gained experience and gained knowledge that was really inspiring for all. And now some coworkers they said like, I can't handle this. They have families. There was the Corona stuff and everything. I absolutely understand it, but they all were pretty sad that they couldn't like continue working on this. That's that was our work. And now I think since end of January, we didn't come to session 3 because we always like next week and so on. It's a bit hard.
And that is okay, right? Because sustainability is also being sustainable with yourself is also an important part, right? And taking time for yourself or your family or whatever is also really important. So therefore, that's more than okay. And you know what you just said, with people struggling with what impact can I have? I mean, that's why we are doing this here, to find ways to have impact in all parts of the process, right? Because I think there is a great opportunity for us as designers because we are more powerful than ever. And so, that's one of the goals of this whole initiative, to find more ideas and things to change things, to get impact at different points of the whole process. So all good.
Yeah, and even gain consciousness in the design process. Like all the designers working on this, and in the second session, they were like, they're like in the homework. We didn't do the homework because everybody had no time, but they were like, okay, here I thought about sustainable consumption and production, and here and so on. So it gets more into the process. So
exactly,
that's, I think, why we have this meetup right now. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Great, cool. Simon. Well, one last question. Where are you at the moment? You need to tell.
I'm in Portugal right now. I'm having I thought Corona winter was not so good in Germany, and I have the capacity to come here and live here and have a great luck to live here and to go surfing almost every day. That's also my responsibility to gain my power.
Simon, thank you very much. We need to switch to the next group.
Thank you very much.
To go. Thank you very much for giving us a short update. And so next group is on my list, group 7, which is, I think, more than one person. So I have Sabine, Katja, and Mostafa on my list. Don't know if you all come to stage.
Hello. I'm not sure if the other ones will join now because, again, we thought that maybe it's easier if it's just one person who runs through the presentation and keep it brief.
However you like.
But we are actually 4 people in the group, so it's Katja, Mostafa, Sarah, and me. And we live in different cities in Germany and Italy, so it was really fitting for us to do sustainable cities and communities. We were all really interested and motivated, and we also made it through the 4th workshop already. But we still have lots to do and to think about, so there's no final result yet. But we can talk about what we did so far.
Great,
so
thank you.
We actually met quite regularly. I think that kept us motivated, and we started dividing the workshops in 2. So each workshop, I think, from the second one, we split up and made weekly sessions because it was easier to do it brief but more regularly. That really helped us. And so, can I share something? Because we've made a tiny little presentation with 2 slides. Can you see it?
Yes.
So we tried to briefly sum up what we thought about so far. I need to close the window. So we had 2 projects that really inspired us for SDG. So I'm not going to talk about them in length, but just to shortly tell you what it's about. So there is one project from Sweden where school children got to design prototypes for streets to make healthier and happier streets until 2030, and then there were different stages of architects and so on, but the idea to actually involve the smallest members of the community was really cool to us. And another project from the Netherlands where actually citizens got to jump on board of policy making by simulations where they had to make decisions about the corona measures like politicians. So with constraints and so it was really helpful because then you got the votes on those topics from I think 30,000 people, but also people gained more understanding, and it was really interesting. And also we found a list of criteria for sustainable cities. It looks like this. And we came back to that very often through our ideation because we could check if we fulfilled them, basically, those criteria. And the ones we did tackle were durability, innovation, social inclusion, and partnership. That was really important, I think, to the city. And so to kind of talk about our final or non-final results, so we have 2 directions where we came to. We found it quite hard to actually link UX design to the city in general. Like in other examples, for example, the gender equality, it's quite obvious that gender equality also concerns the office. But for the city, it was like, yeah, is it our way to work, or is it our office space? What is it that is the combination between UX design and the city, or is it actually just projects? And I think we came back to the latter. It was always about projects that shape the city. We had a really interesting term. It's called the digital layer. And we thought about how we can, as UX designers, go beyond the digital layer and also either influence or consider the way that our work shapes the physical space of the city. And we have two directions in which we are thinking. One is collaboration with other professions that actually are involved with city planning. And the other direction is participatory design, so basically projects where you involve the community itself to make design decisions. And for both, we have a lot of ideas, but we haven't finished any of them. So that's where we're at the moment.
That sounds great. Thank you very much, Sabine, for giving us this insight. And yeah, there were already a few things I wanted to write down. I couldn't do it so fast. So super interesting. Thank you. Okay, then go on to the next group. That is Group 10, and Nora will present. And Group 10 is working on SDG 10, which is reduced inequalities, right?
Hey, yeah. So yeah, just to give you an update from our group, we're a group of 4 people. And yes, as you said, we're working on SDG 10, so reduced inequalities. And I think kind of like one of the things that we've been struggling with is just that this goal is super broad and it connects to so many other goals. I mean, I would say pretty much almost all of them. And it's also just so much it's just our capitalist system that is just causing like so many of like, the inequalities that we have in our world. So first, it was kind of a bit hard for us to, where do we really start tackling this goal? And we were kind of moving in a lot of different directions. So we had a lot of ideas about accessibility, inclusive design, equity-centered design. Then we were also talking about we need to be more aware of the implications that our design has. And then we also were talking about just how, one of the issues is also just that our industry is not very inclusive. So how can we make our industry more inclusive? And on one hand, I mean, that's not just, that's also like just part of HR recruitment, but it's also like just getting more people from marginalized communities, for example, into our industry, but that needs to start at a very early age. And not just today. So we were kind of like moving a lot of different directions. And I think that's still maybe something that we're struggling with a little bit. But right now we finished the creation session. So I think we're now a little bit more focused. We just did a creation session last week. Next week, we should be able to finish all the workshops.
Cool.
Next week we're going to do the presentation. And so far, I think what we're actually now moving towards is collaboration as a tool for reduced inequalities. So, I mean, that means on one hand, collaboration, for example, across countries, because in the SDG goal, it's also talking about reduced inequalities between or even within countries. Mm-hmm. So one idea goes in that direction, like how can we also collaborate better globally? And then also one idea goes in the direction of like reducing inequalities through collaboration. And I'm not really going to go into detail, but it's kind of interesting, like how a lot of the ideas that we had were first kind of focused on inclusive design and equity-centered design, actually like just focusing on a lot of tools that we already have available. So we're also still thinking about kind of putting that together. But now we're also talking a lot about collaboration and just making it more visible of like, for example, like having an extended stakeholder map, thinking about how does our design not just affect our direct users, but in general, like what kind of effect does it have on other people?
Cool. It sounds really interesting, and I'm really looking forward, and I think I'm speaking for many of us to hear more about about that, and I think we could talk much more about that, right? Because as you say, it's really important. And I found this one sentence that you said: "Our industry is not very inclusive," and that's that's true. It is.
Yeah, and I mean that's partially, I mean, something that we can try to like as UX designers, we can try to be aware of it. But on the other hand, like for a lot of these issues, we also kind of noticed, okay, on one hand, maybe we as UX designers can, UX manager can maybe also pay attention to the diversity in their team. But on the other hand, like this starts in schools. This starts in like getting people getting kids interested in tech, and also like even when we're talking about the school system, like why do schools have different equipment depending on like what neighborhood they're in? Mm-hmm. So yeah, like laptops for every kid, so that they can actually even like get interested in tech and maybe then even consider something like that. So again, like what do we notice with a lot of these issues? It's okay, then there's like a small part that we can do as UX designers, but it's also kind of very broad. And there are a lot of other like also maybe collaboration, and again with other roles, with other industries, with other for example, with recruitment could be interesting as well. Nothing that we explored, but yeah.
Sure. Great, Nora. Thank you very much for giving us this small insights, and looking forward to hear more from your group.
Thank you for setting everything up and for providing all of the tools and everything.
Yeah, but as I said, big thank you to all of you who are here and doing this, because we can only do this all together, right? And if we can come up with ideas and tools, ideas, that's great. And if we can provide small things, that's great, and then we are all happy, I think. Hello, nice to have you here.
Hi there.
And the stage is yours.
Thank you. Our group has been focusing on quality education, and we are a very young group of sort of fairly new and inexperienced UX designers, myself included. I'm very, very new. So it has been just a real joy to kind of experience the sort of mirror boards and the really quality stuff that you gave us. And it's been fantastic, I think, just for a bunch of young UX designers like us to kind of see how all of this stuff works. And it's been fantastic to sort of use those things. In terms of the progress we've made, I think at the moment, our findings are still in the sort of ethereal and sort of quite abstract realm, where we're sort of having bits and pieces of insights, but everything is, still quite sort of unresolved, as it were. I'll just sort of go through the list of the things that we have been sort of exploring and that we have discovered. I think at the beginning, there was perhaps a bit of consensus around a lot of us had frustrating experiences with, the educations that we have received, which have all been, good because we come from developed countries, but, a frustration with the way that education is heavily standardized, and that perhaps with, the, sort of amazing power of technology and something that we could move away from, having these very, very rigid structures of education. And there was also maybe a realization that as UX designers, we are perhaps sort of quite well positioned or uniquely positioned to think about education because, we understand technology, which will be hopefully a really powerful force in terms of improving education. But we are also very focused on humans and on the users and on understanding, maybe users for products, but that could easily be translated to students in an educational context. And so, there's both, the sort of power and the responsibility for us as UX designers to make use of the skills that we have with this sort of convergence of these two areas. I suppose the pressure is on in that way. And I think from there, the other thing that we were sort of exploring was there is obviously a tremendous amount of good we could do in a positive sense, but also that, our industry and the products that we produce make up a colossal amount of the content and the media that people do sort of ingest. And so when it comes to, things which are maybe not directly related to providing a quality education, but for example, sort of reducing the stigma around having a lack of education or gaps in one's knowledge, there is a stigma there, and that creates a barrier because people have a feeling of shame around, you know, acknowledging that and then seeking out that information. And so if we are, as an industry, producing a lot of content, which is then informing the culture on how these issues are sort of perceived, maybe there are sort of small incremental things we can do to alleviate that stigma. So it's a sort of do less harm rather than do more good type approach within UX, which could be really interesting to explore. And I think those were the sort of main notes. Yeah, this idea that we should not be putting things maybe out there in another way that are a barrier to people who are trying to, you know, improve their education. So there you can sort of move into the accessibility side of things. You know, even if we are perhaps working on products which are not directly an educational tool, somebody may be using that to, you know, practice their other languages or their first language or whatever. And so there's already accessibility structures in terms of people with disabilities or who are, you know, hard of hearing or sight or whatever. Maybe it would be interesting to consider personas of people with different educational levels, and then how you would perhaps develop, you know, accessibility options for those kinds of people, so that, you know, instead of having to find very specific, you know, content for someone who's trying to learn things, they would just have access to lots of apps and websites and things that have been designed with them in mind as a user. And it's maybe not a typical user that we would consider when we are generating personas and thinking about all those kinds of people. So yeah, all kind of up in the air and quite abstract at the moment. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, because there's a group of sort of young UX designers. It's been really lovely to sort of come together and collaborate and think about these things and sort of see things from a sort of very UX heavy perspective. It's been really good.
And that makes us happy to hear, I can tell. And it's, I think, as I said before, it's not only about finding solutions, it's also about the way going there, about mindset, about ideas, about findings. These are also, I think, super valuable for many other people. And so this is also sort of very important and valuable output of this initiative and of this group work. And so, yeah, great. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hear more. And well, I think later on there might be a good opportunity for some crossover discussion with well, there is another group talking about quality education, but also with Nora's group about the reduced inequalities, because we just heard there are things overlapping. And
yes, a lot of overlap. Yeah, things start to spread out very, very quickly.
Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so we go to the next group. That is Aretha, and I hope I spelled your name right. That's group 12, and you also worked on SDG 4, which is quality education. And thank you for being here. Nice to have you here.
Thank
the
you.
Stage is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so thank you for allowing me to join the SUX team and having this opportunity to work on quality education. So, hi guys, we are the group 12, the Sustainable Curiosity. We are working with quality education, and there are some things that I will share. So, something that we realized in our talk, in our meetings, is that SUX is focusing more on digital projects, and that makes sense, right? Because in physical projects, we have a sustainability discussion, right? In sustainable materials and all of the stuff. But in digital projects, we don't have that, so it makes sense. But we open the discussion to also create solutions for physical projects if they never one issue. So that was kind of interesting. I just wanted to say the icebreakers, the marbles, they were really nice to just get to know each other. It was really fun to do that and get to know everyone's opinions and topics. And one thing that we discussed in our meetings a lot is the socioeconomic status having an impact in the quality education. And some of us were born in a third world country, and we know how it is to not have the investment, in education, and we see the difference in education in those countries. So me, myself, like from Brazil, I can see that kids from poor families do not have a healthy lives because they don't have money to buy enough food, and that has an effect on how they develop and how much information they can retain and all of those aspects. And the government doesn't invest enough in education, so we see all those factors, influencing the quality education. So this was really interesting to discuss throughout the meetings. Some obstacles. Everyone, I guess, was kind of like confused about the double diamond process. So I'm not going to say a lot here, but yeah, like we were kind of like, I feel like we knew what the double diamond were, but we were unfamiliar with all of those little steps. So one thing that I wanted to give a feedback is, I think it would be nice to SUX to provide articles or resources that we can learn about the double diamond process, and some examples. Like, I know you guys did an example of the double diamond process, but it was just like one part of it. So we were kind of like confused about the other parts of it. So that's another thing, like maybe more examples that would be nice for it.
Yeah, sure. No, very, very good feedback. And that's why we want to have like a roundtable discussion in the end of today, where we can collect all these feedback and ideas from your side, so we can put it in there. And
oh, sure.
Yeah.
I would just leave those feedbacks for later. So one team member was struggling again because he was from a different background, and he didn't understand the process involved. So again, I researched some articles and shared with the team. I hope he now understands it, because it was just like the last meeting that we did that. And some of the team members were kind of like asking, oh, okay, but what's the point of all of this? So we kind of like reflected a little bit, like, oh, okay, you're trying to change the methodologies that we use in the design process. But I feel like we kind of missed the vision of this, of SUX, like as a whole group. So one thing that I really want to ask you, if you could just repeat the vision and explain the vision again to us, because I think like we kind of misunderstood that. I feel like some of the team members were thinking about another thing, and then when they started doing the workshop, they kind of like felt confused. So that's one thing. And we are in the creation session, and we're just like in the step of developing a solution. So that's it. We're just doing right now our homework.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much. And yeah, for sure. Later on, we will talk a little bit about the next steps, and maybe this already makes some things more clear. I think the thing is, well, we call it the Sustainable UX Playbook, and I think what we all are finding out together, and this is also counts also for us, is that there are many different outcomes. So it's not like, okay, every group has the exact same type of results. The longer we thought about that, the more it became clear that different groups and different topics might have totally different output and outcomes. And so it's the range of what we are doing here is really wide. And it's not like every group is working and will get one method as a result, right? And this makes it, I think personally, that this makes it even more interesting, because it means we get more, many different results, but also makes it more, more complicated maybe, right? Because it's many things are happening under the roof of the Sustainable UX Playbook. And but we have some idea how we can cluster these different outputs, and I hope this already makes it a little bit more clear. But still, thank you very much for being here tonight with us and sharing your group work. And we're really looking forward to the next steps of your group. And great. So thank you very much. And the next group will be group 13. That is Alice, who's coming on stage. Alice is also part of the orga team. And maybe this is the right point to say Alice is the one who created this whole workshop template. And so maybe it's the time for a big thank you once more, because she spent a ton of work on building this. So once more, thank you very much to you, Alice, to building this. And you are group 13, and you're working on SDG 12, which is sustainable consumption and production, right?
Exactly, and thank you again. And also I'm thanking like all of the facilitators and everyone who is like joining us, because it's so much of an inspiration to see all your feedback and things are coming back, and it's so interesting how you solve problems. And so it's really a source of learning for me as well. But let's go to our journey of my group. We are the consume the habit hackers. So that's the name of us. Democratically decided. And our key insights, or first of all, we have 5 people in our core group now, and we started with 8 people, I think. So we didn't lose that many people. We lost 2 people because of the time zone, which was a shame. We couldn't really manage to find a time slot together. So our key insights were our inspiring moments. We talked a lot about planet-centric design approach and new concepts popping up right now everywhere, to also include non-human actors and so on. So we talked a lot about that, and maybe we can also in the end share our knowledge base, because we collected also things around that. My team is very passionate, so we learn through all workshop, and we have really rich discussions. I felt always when I ended the meeting, I learned 10 new things, which is amazing. And to our obstacles, double diamond task, we also struggled a bit with it, but time-wise, because I knew how to moderate this task. I built that. So we just gave us more time and stretched it more. So we had basically another workshop for the second part of the double diamond. Sometimes it's a bit hard after 8 hours work, to focus and so on. So we try to not too hard on ourselves and just do another workshop instead of before, and just split up tasks basically. And also takes homeworks that we can just do whenever we feel like, so that we don't have to do everything together. And right now we're in the creation session, so we also split the creation session again. and we have to focus, or we focused in a direction. We also saw maybe the toolkit doesn't provide so many tools for that at that point, but my team, like everyone has such a big tool set or brings it in, and then we could just solve it by ourselves. And what we want to focus on is to support sustainable and responsible user behavior. And we want to create a guideline for UX designers to include the values of responsible production consumption, because we see that we can see it in statics, like people want to, basically act more sustainable, and we can see it in the numbers, and we just have to bring it on our tables. And so basically we want to concentrate more on a general overview of actionable suggestions instead of just picking one small point in the process. We want to look at the whole design process and try to collect a set of suggestions how we could include those values more. And right now we're just researching on our own what's already out there, how can we bring things together. We also want to make a questionnaire and also interview people, talk to people who are already trying to solve those things. That's basically where we are. And our group is also interested to exchange with other groups who also have the same SDG. Maybe someone has a similar idea or so, and we can team up together or whatever. And that's basically it. And thanks to my group again, which I really appreciate to work with them. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you for being here on stage with us. And I think you said one very important point, that it's sometimes we cannot change the thing itself, but we always can change or work on how the people, our users, are consuming and showing them options. And as you said, people are willing to do so. And we just need to, or we need to try to make it as easy as possible for them to change.
We also have to give them the options, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like there are so many negative examples in the world where we don't support people, even if they want to choose like a better solution or option than they want to. And I think on the digital layer we can do a lot, and this is the reason why the whole team is focusing on the same solution, because it's not necessary to just let everyone focus on the same solution. But in our case, we really aligned that we want to focus together on this one bigger goal.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much, Alice. And this brings us to the next group 14. That is Garrett, who will join us on stage now. And Group 40 is also working on SDG 12, which is the sustainable consumption and production. And now I say, hello, Garrett. Nice to have you here. And the stage is yours.
Hi, Thorsten. Do you hear and see me good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Because I'm frozen as well on my screen. Okay, wonderful. Good evening, everybody. My group is working on responsible consumption and production as well. And I just give you a quick overview over our group and my team, and then what we're working on, because it's very interesting. So we are 6 people, and most of us live in Germany, and 1 in UK and 1 in Greece. And we didn't know each other before, and we're kind of a diverse group. So one is just starting in a junior role, and then some are there for 10 years plus already. Then we have freelancers, like design teams of 1 in a tiny company, and then some of us leading a big team, which is very interesting that it's such a diverse group, and we see this topic from a lot of different viewpoints, which makes it very interesting for us. Yeah. And another key insight here already is that some of us are really struggling with their unsustainable workplace practices. So they want to see more sustainability in their workplace, but it's not possible because they are not heard in their peers or in their groups where they're working in. So, like, one step for us is as well, like Simon said in the beginning, his group is working on on our topic as well, like, is to raise awareness, but it's also like finding ways that, like, how could we change our workplace? Like Thorsten, you told in the beginning, like, we designers are more powerful than ever, and like, okay, we could be more powerful in our teams as well. And how can we change the mindset in our teams so the people we work with? So we had 4 sessions already, and we are in the second half of the Double Diamond right now. And so the key insights from our group is actually that this knowledge base, like, we're using a lot and we're filling it a lot. And like, I'm imagining that 17 groups are filling this knowledge base, and it could be like incredibly helpful for like years to come. And like what you told in the beginning or just now, that this will have such a broad vision, like what was not clear in the beginning, like it could be something very powerful, and we like to use and fill this knowledge base with bad examples and positive examples. So, and it teaches us a lot. Then another key insight what we have, like, for responsible consumption and production, maybe other groups have it as well, is kind of that in the beginning of the process, this questioning the brief is like a hell of a powerful step. Like, it's a first thing where you can tell, this is not right, like this we're not doing. And this is actually as well, again, the power of the designer when we are supported in our teams and in our workplaces. And then another thing is the planet-centered design. Like, we're exploring this as well, and it could be, like, for our group, it could be applied in so many different stages or steps in the design process, and it could change the design process as a whole. So it's a very interesting concept. Yeah. So that's it in a nutshell, actually. Like, we are very curious to revisit our vision from the beginning now. Like, we have the 3rd and the 4th workshop still coming. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we are very curious if our assumptions change or what we will have learned.
Sounds really great. And well, it might, for the people out there, it might sound like I'm saying always the same, but I really mean that. I'm so much looking forward to your next steps, and you already said so many, I think, important things, and what you said is so true, that this knowledge base that you are filling is also a really important and valuable and interesting outcome of the group work by itself. And again, this is, the playbook is not only a book of one type of things, it's different things. And we'll come to that later. And I cannot agree more.
Yeah, in the end, I just want to tell shortly, very thanks to you and all the organizers, and like, the feedback what we could give is like that we personally are growing with this process what you set up for us here. So it's very nice to be part of this movement.
That makes, I think I can speak for everyone in the orga team. That makes us really happy, and I think it's the same for us. We are also growing with this, and it's a process, and that's so important in terms of sustainability, that it's a process. It's a step-by-step path we need to go, and it's a long way, but still every step brings us further or closer to where we want to come, right? And therefore, that's, I really mean that. Makes me and makes us really happy to hear that you feel the same and we do.
Nice. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Garrett. So this is, I think we're coming to the last group for tonight, which is group 17. And this is Gero, who will join us on stage. Yes. And you are working on SDG 5, which is gender equality. Yeah, so I just read the full text, okay? Yeah, we'll do that. So I'm on the Miro board now, and I'm reading the text for the group. As I said, it's SDG 5, gender equality. Nobody questions that there is a need for more diversity and gender sensitivity within the technology and design community. The real question is, how do we get there? When we talk about gender equality, we unfortunately first off think about binary gender equality. We need to keep in mind that intersectional discriminations come together with demands for equality. We figured out that we need more experts in the field of gender-sensitive UX. We would like to create a toolkit additional to our other design methods for a more diverse and inclusive culture in the design field. The design process involves phases of inspiration, ideation, and implementation. When designing, one must ask questions, define a problem, and work in a non-linear process toward a solution that will continue to evolve through iteration and testing. There are many chances to make inclusive choices, such as hire diverse teams, choose diverse pool of interviewees, choose inclusive images, abstract or diversify language, etc., etc. A gender-inclusive design approach is necessary because products that do not intentionally include can end up discriminating against already marginalized identities. And yes, I cannot agree more on this. And so I see you are at the session 3, the creation session right now, or you did that. And so, yeah, as I said, I think we are all really looking forward to the output of your group, because as we heard before, it is so important to bring this, I think, to bring this topic into our heads and to have us have that in mind at whatever we do, being it hiring other teammates or team members, but also in the products that we build, right? And in the decisions that we make there. So thank you very much. And next time we will make the sound working. I promise. Okay, I see you. Yeah, it's definitely a journey, and therefore it's so important to have people like you and your groups to work on this, because it's on the one hand side about methods and solutions, but it's also about getting into the mindset of more people and designers and incepting it into the mind of more people, and therefore it's so important. Thank you very much. We are through with the list of groups that signed up for tonight. Just to make sure, I'm asking into the audience if there is one group, if there is another group that wants to say something that just did not reach out to us. So just let us know, and you could come to stage right now. If not, I would move on with the last few slides for today. And since I do not see anything in the chat, I will just do so. So let me share my screen once more. And there we go. So before I go on, let me say once more, thank you to all of you, to the groups who are working and could be. And what we see is, on what we have seen today, is that we will have many great and very interesting and also quite different results. And what is important for us is that the SUX playbook shall fit these different outcomes. So it won't be enough to have this one thing that, for example, collects methods and nothing else. And there are so many more interesting things that somehow should, or we think should be made available for the design community, because we think that could be so helpful. And what is also important is that the SUX playbook shall give all the contributors, that is you out there, the room they deserve, because it's all of us who build this together, and everyone who is contributing should get his or her place in this. So just a quick overview. We think the SUX playbook will consist of different things, and we said this before, I think. So there is some sort of a knowledge base, and we already heard that the knowledge bases that are built up in the groups right now are already a very interesting source, and could be a very interesting source for many other groups. And they also include best practice cases or worst case practices. We also have some of the groups, I think, have in the workshops built up these SDG visions, which are also very valuable and interesting resource. So that is one part that we want to collect. Then we will have certain methods, maybe new methods that are invented by you, but also existing methods that seem to work quite well for this or that SDG. So this is the second part that we think that should be collected and made available. And we think we also should have at least some more deep dive sort of article at least per SDG or per group. So because I think there is so many interesting information besides the knowledge base and besides the methods that can be used. So we hope that we can put together at least one deep dive article per SDG that we can provide to the community. And at last, and that is a new idea, we're thinking of the idea of building a SUX podcast, actually, because I think what we saw today is that, all these interesting thoughts that the groups had regarding the SDGs. So all these interesting thoughts like, we were going in this direction, and then we had these findings, and we had these feelings. I think these are really interesting for the community and really interesting for the people out there to understand why is this important for us as UX designers. So the idea is to have at least one episode for each group to give each group the room that they deserve, and where they can in an interview format present their results and get the room, as I said, that you all deserve for the work that you do. So this is what these are four, I would say, maybe main parts that we see for the playbook at the moment. And well, if you see this, it's sure that the playbook will not be finished at a certain point of time, but we think that's something that is growing over time, and there might be new groups working on this. There might be universities also working on this, and we hope that the playbook is growing over time more and more. So what will be the next steps from our point of view? We're not looking too far into future. So we call it the start of phase 2, where we start building or collecting some of the results. And we already heard that some of the groups are almost done already. And therefore we think we can start with a podcast series in April, maybe mid or end of April already, with the first groups that already have finished. And we can also start building up this knowledge base, so collecting all the interesting things that the groups have collected that are already there. Just need to put together a place where we collect it. Well, and the group work is continuing. You have seen some of the groups have still, for example, maybe 2 workshops to do, and we all know it's not like we can do this every week, right? So that's okay. It takes as much time as it can. And there might be new groups occurring based on demand. So we see there are new people joining the community, asking for the group work. There are. That's why I mentioned universities. There are universities asking if we could make projects for students out of this. So this is something we are discussing with for example, universities at the moment. Then we plan for May to do the next meetup, presenting first results. Don't know if all groups have been finished until then, but definitely some will have, as we have heard. And we will start the next phase of putting together more results. So building the collection of methods that we have, or that occur as an outcome. Hopefully start the article series with deep dives into the SDGs. And so that's the idea that we have, and hopefully, by end of April, beginning of May, we have the first results for the people out there that we can present out there to the people. And that's it so far for today. We took some more time, but as we planned. But honestly, I think there were so many great insights from the groups. And once more, thank you for sharing this today. And we're really looking forward to you continuing your work. And so for now, we invite you all to stay for some more time. We have already said that we would like to discuss some of the obstacles that you ran into when working with the workshop template, especially this double diamond thing, I would say. So if you're willing to give some feedback there, please stay for some more time. We will be here for some more minutes. And there is one more thing. So we recorded today's video, and I know in terms of data protection, I should have asked it before. If anyone, so we plan to put that on our, so far very small YouTube channel. If any one of you who was on stage does not want to be part of this, please send me a message or send one of us a message, and we will make sure that you will not be visible. Sorry for not asking before. Honestly, I had it on my list and I just forgot it. So